chosen one, you are in danger. This plan of God is going to save you. Open now, you feel it, don't you? That unsettling stirring in your spirit, the sense that something invisible is pressing in, something trying to break your focus, shatter your peace, and confuse your path. This is not a physical danger alone. It is spiritual warfare masked in ordinary moments. It's not just about who's against you or what's falling apart. It's about the silent erosion of your divine awareness. Chosen one, you are in danger not because you are weak, but because you are powerful beyond measure, and something is trying to make you forget that. The enemy isn't outside. It is the illusion that you are not who God says you are, but even now, in the thick of the storm, the plan of God is already active. You are not abandoned. You are not without help. There is a sacred blueprint unfolding, a divine rescue plan that doesn't just snatch you out of danger, but transforms danger into your promotion. But here's the mystery. It won't be handed to you through signs in the sky or voices in the thunder. It must be awakened from within. God has placed the answer, the map, the strategy inside you. All that's left is for you to open your spirit, release what you see with your eyes, and align with the vision He's been trying to show you in silence. The plan is not coming. It is here, it is alive, and it is waiting on one thing, your agreement. So listen closely. Everything is about to shift. There is a great illusion in the world that danger is something external. The person, a place, a circumstance, but chosen one, if you look deeper, you'll see the truth. The true danger isn't what's happening around you, it's what's been forming within you. The real battlefield isn't in your environment, it's in your consciousness. That's where the war is waged. That's where the false identities and limiting beliefs build strongholds. And unless you awaken to this truth, you'll keep fighting shadows in the world and never touch the root of the conflict. The state you dwell in, whether fear or faith, anxiety or assurance, victimhood or victory, determines the world you encounter. You think you're in danger because the money is low, because people have turned against you, because opportunities seem scarce. But none of that is the actual threat. The danger is that you've begun to believe that what you see is more powerful than what God has spoken. The danger is that you've started to trust the outer world more than your inner world. That's where you're bleeding. That's where you're vulnerable. It's not the betrayal, the rejection, the isolation, or even the heartbreak. It's that those events planted a seed of false identity in you, and you watered it with agreement. You thought you were surviving events, but you were actually forming a new idea of yourselves. Smaller, less worthy, more afraid, and that idea is now attracting experiences that reflect it. You became loyal to a lie and called it realism. You saw delay and called it defeat. You mistook silence of God for His absence, and now the danger is not the delay itself, but your alignment with that interpretation. You've slipped into a state where fear has become familiar, where hope feels risky, and where expectation is treated like a gamble. But let this moment be your interruption. Let this be your awakening. You are not in danger because of where you are. You are in danger because of who you think you are in that place. If you can shift the way you see yourself, the place must change. The people must respond differently. The door must open. Because your world cannot outgrow your inner vision, it will always mirror it. So ask yourself, what state of consciousness have you been living in? What assumptions have you made your home? What emotions have been allowed to settle in and claim authority over your thoughts? That's the real danger. Because as long as you believe you are powerless, abandoned, behind, or forgotten, then even the blessings assigned to you will be delayed, not by God, but by your own inability to receive them. The key isn't to fight circumstances, but to transcend them. God's plan doesn't start by sending a miracle to your house. It starts by sending a shift to your mind. The plan of God is not external intervention. It is internal awakening. God saves you by reminding you of who you are, not by changing who they are. He pulls you out of danger by pulling you out of the false state you've accepted as normal, and once your internal state shifts, the world must obey it. Your perception becomes your prophecy. The question is not, when will this end, but rather, who am I becoming while it continues? If you remain in fear, you will birth outcomes that validate that fear. If you return to truth, you will magnetize the manifestations already set aside for you. God is not deciding your fate. He already did. You're deciding whether to accept it. You can't receive the blessings of the chosen while walking in the identity of the forsaken. The chosen are never safe by the world's standards, but they are always secure in their calling. The danger is not the fire it's forgetting you were built for it. It's forgetting that the flame doesn't burn the chosen, it reveals them. So rise out of the illusion. The enemy wants you distracted, focused on who said what didn't happen, and what's still missing. But God is whispering, come back to yourself, come back to your authority, come back to the high place of thought, because the storm will rage around you, but if peace lives in you, you will pass through untouched. You won't survive by manipulating events. You'll survive by mastering your imagination. It's not magic, it's spiritual law. As within, so without. As you see yourself, so will the world respond. That is the plan. That is the rescue, and no one can activate it but you. You're not in danger, you're in disguise. You've forgotten your name, you've forgotten your origin, but the moment you remember it, not just intellectually but spiritually, the shift will begin, and the danger will dissolve like mist before the morning sun. The circumstances might not change immediately, but your response will. And once your response changes, the situation must bow. It must rearrange, because it was only ever echoing the state you carried. Chosen one, you have to awaken from the sleep of fear. You have to come out of agreement with the lesser version of yourself. You have to stop waiting for the external world to tell you it's safe. It's never been about safety. It's always been about alignment. God's plan is not to rescue you from something, but to raise you above it. You are not a victim. You are not in danger. You are in transition, and every lie trying to destroy you is terrified that you might realize the truth. That's why the pressure increased. That's why it felt like everything was being stripped away, because the false layers are being burned off. The inauthentic state is dying. The illusion is breaking, and what remains will be the real you, the you God planned, the you the world is waiting on, the you that is not afraid of danger but walks through it as a testimony. So stop managing fear, stop negotiating with doubt, get back in the seat of authority. The storm isn't here to drown you, it's here to reveal what can no longer stay. Let it go, reclaim your vision, re-enter the high place of faith. There is no danger that can overpower a soul that remembers its origin. You came from God, you carry His breath, you were sent for a time like this. The only thing left is for you to rise into that truth and stay there, because when you do, the world must catch up. That's the plan. That's how God saves His own, through memory, through awareness, through transformation, not by changing the mirror, but by changing the one who's looking into it. Chosen one, you are not in danger. You are in awakening. Open your eyes and live. Chosen one, here lies a mystery that the world cannot teach you and religion often fails to reveal. God's plan to save you is not focused on changing your circumstances. It is focused on transforming your identity. We often look to heaven begging for change outside of us. We pray for the storm to cease, the people to change, the door to open, the situation to resolve. But God does not work by rearranging external things to fit your fear. His method is higher, deeper, and far more permanent. He changes you. He shifts your awareness. He awakens your true identity. The plan of God isn't to hand you relief, it's to raise you to the level where relief is no longer needed, because at that level, what once looked like danger now becomes destiny. The suffering doesn't end by escaping it. It ends by realizing you were never the person who needed to suffer. You are not the version of yourself that experienced loss, rejection, betrayal, or scarcity. That version was born out of experience, but not of truth. It was formed by pain, but not authorized by heaven. The plan of God begins when you stop trying to fix what happened and begin remembering who you were before it happened. The moment you shift from identifying as a victim of the past to the embodiment of divine purpose, you rise above your history, you transcend the timeline, you step out of the cycle of cause and effect, and into the realm of vision and command. This is the shift that saves you, not new people, not better opportunities, not even answered prayers in the physical, but a total transformation of your inner self concept. You have been looking at your life from the wrong vantage point. You have seen yourself as the one who is broken, waiting for God to fix it. But the truth is, God has already spoken. You are not waiting on rescue. You are being invited into realization. The longer you try to hold on to the old identity, the one who lacks, who's behind, who's overlooked, who's wounded, the longer you delay the manifestation of the life that belongs to your true self. You cannot walk into the next chapter while clinging to the character from the last. God's plan requires a shift so deep that it feels like death, and in many ways it is the death of your former identity, your old assumptions, your limiting beliefs, the death of the false self who needed validation, who feared rejection, who begged for crumbs while seated at a divine table. But what feels like death is actually deliverance. It is the sacred undoing of everything that isn't you. This is the mercy of the plan. It tears down your mask so you can finally see your face. It doesn't promote your performance. It restores your presence. God is not rewarding you for enduring enough pain. He is awakening you from the dream of limitation. The plan is not to improve your life as you know it, but to reveal a higher life you've never dared to imagine. A life that doesn't require struggle, negotiation, or survival, only alignment with truth. That truth is this: you are already whole, already called, already provided for, already chosen. The problem isn't your provision, it's your perception. If you still see yourself as broken, you will attract circumstances that reflect that belief. If you carry the identity of the unloved, the unseen, the unsupported, then even divine help will go unnoticed. That's why the plan must begin within. The shift in identity must happen before the breakthrough. You have to become the version of you that belongs in the blessing before the blessing can arrive. And this isn't a performance, it's not pretending, it's not manifesting through force or positive thinking. It is becoming. It is assuming the inner reality that your soul already knows is true. It is resting in the assurance that the end is already finished, and the only thing you're doing now is catching up what eternity has already declared. That's why God doesn't always answer your desperate prayers. He's not ignoring you. He's inviting you. He's saying, come up here. Come to the place where this isn't a request, but a remembrance. Come to the dimension where this isn't a hope, it's a knowing. Because once your identity shifts, your reality must follow. You can't hold the energy of royalty and remain a beggar. You can't believe you are healed and still dwell in sickness. You can't carry the spirit of increase and stay in lack. The moment you embody it internally, the outer world reconfigures to match it. That's spiritual law. That's the mystery Jesus whispered when he said, according to your faith, be it unto you. He wasn't referring to surface belief. He meant the identity you live from, the deep conviction that you are who God says you are, not what your past claims you to be, and that chosen one is the plan to bring you back into alignment with your original self, the self that existed before trauma, before fear, before delay, before disappointment. The plan is not about giving you what you want, but about reintroducing you to the version of you that never doubted it was already yours. This version does not need to be created. It must be remembered. It is waiting behind your pain, behind your waiting, behind your questions. It is silent. It is still, but it is unshakable. And once you return to it, nothing will be able to touch you the same way again. Not the same people, not the same patterns, not even the same fears, because identity is not just who you say you are. It is the frequency you emit, the energy you carry, the atmosphere you command. When you walk in your true identity, danger becomes a lie, lack becomes an illusion, and time becomes your servant. That is why you must let go, not of the dream, but of the version of you who doubts it. That is why the door hasn't opened yet, not because it's locked, but because your current self can't fit through it. The blessing you seek requires a new embodiment. The rescue you desire requires a resurrection, and resurrection is not about waiting. It's about waking up. The plan of God is not passive. It is prophetic. It calls you to rise into the person who has already been redeemed, already been restored, already been equipped. You are not becoming worthy. You are remembering your worth. You are not being saved from danger. You are being reborn into dominion, and once you embrace this shift, the plan will no longer feel like pressure. It will feel like power. You will see that God was never far. He was never silent. He was working through every closed door, every unanswered prayer, every quiet night, to draw you back to the only place that matters, your true self. The self that lives in union with the divine, the self that walks with clarity, the self that no longer asks, when will things change, but instead declares, I am the change. That chosen one is your calling, that is your safety, that is your plan, not a shift in your world, but a shift in your identity. And once that shift happens, the world cannot remain the same. It must obey the one who remembers their power. So stop Looking around, start looking within. The answer is not coming, the answer is you. There is a holy place where fear cannot follow you, where doubt cannot breathe, and where danger loses all its power. It is not a location in the world, but a dimension within your own being. Chosen one, you must enter the secret place. This is not a physical retreat or a religious ritual, but the sacred space of the imagination, where you meet God not through words, but through awareness. It is here and only here that the plan of God can be activated, for in this place you are not bound by appearances, logic, or limitation. You are bound only by your willingness to believe. The secret place is not accessed by effort, but by surrender. You do not strive your way into it. You become still enough to find it. This is the chamber where you stop rehearsing what happened and start assuming what is already finished in spirit. Here the chosen do not beg, they become. Here you do not ask for the breakthrough, you embody the one who already has it. The secret place is the realm of creative power. It is where you stop reacting to life and begin commanding it. The noise of the world may tell you you're in danger, but the voice in the secret place whispers it is done, and once you receive that truth, your world must respond. This is why the plan of God cannot unfold through worry, striving, or control. It is not activated by panic. It is activated by peace. You must assume the end. You must dare imagine not just what you want, but who you are when it is already yours. You must feel the reality of completion, even when the facts scream the opposite. This is not delusion. This is divine law. Whatever you assume to be true of yourself, consistently, confidently, silently, must be outpictured in your world, not because you forced it, but because it was already finished in the unseen. You didn't create the blessing. You aligned with it. You didn't force the shift. You became the one for whom the shift was natural. But chosen one, many never enter this place because they cannot be still. They keep trying to solve spiritual battles with natural weapons. They speak of faith while carrying fear in their hearts. They look to heaven for rescue, but refuse to close the door on doubt. The secret place is not for the double-minded. It requires full surrender, not to chaos, but to vision. It demands you turn your back on what is and face what is meant to be. It demands that you speak the end while standing in the middle, that you say thank you, while nothing seems to change, that you rejoice, not because of what you see, but because of what you know within. And what you know is this: the end is already written, the victory is already secured. God's plan is not a future you must earn, it is a present you must remember. The moment you assume the end, everything in creation begins to move on your behalf, not by might, not by effort, but by alignment. This is why the enemy tries to keep you distracted, so you never enter the secret place, so you stay outside in the realm of noise, in the realm of problems, in the realm of what-ifs and not-enoughs. But you must make a bold decision to enter in, to shut the door on the outer world and enter the inner sanctuary where only your assumption has authority. You must see yourself not as a seeker, but as one who has already found, not as one waiting, but as one chosen, not as one lost, but as one led. When you enter the secret place, you begin to speak and think and act as if the end were already visible. You don't ask, will it happen? You rest in the knowing, it is done. This is not arrogance. This is alignment with the mind of God. He sees the end from the beginning. He declares you healed before the symptom leaves. He calls you blessed before the money shows up. He names you victorious before the battle even starts. And if you are made in his image, you must do the same. You must live from the end, not toward it. You must hold the vibration of fulfillment even when the facts contradict it, because facts may describe your situation, but only faith defines your reality. The secret place is not built on logic. It is built on vision. You cannot reason your way into destiny. You must feel it. You must dwell in the emotional atmosphere of completion. You must carry the energy of already done in your words, your posture, your prayers, and as you do, your world must bow. Circumstances rearrange, people shift. Time bends. Why? Because you've left the realm of reaction and entered the realm of command. You are not the victim of what is. You are the cause of what shall be. The plan of God isn't waiting to be revealed. It is waiting to be agreed with, and you agree not by striving, but by entering the secret place and assuming the end. When you truly assume the end, you don't need reassurance. You don't need signs. You don't need constant confirmation. You move in silence, trusting that the seen is catching up to the unseen. You walk with authority, knowing the door is already open in another realm. You stop doubting whether it will work and start walking as if it already has. This is how miracles are born. This is how the chosen walk through fire and come out untouched. This is how the impossible becomes inevitable, not through struggle, but through surrender to the higher vision. But be warned, the world will not understand. People will question your calm. They will say you're disconnected. They'll ask why you're not anxious, why you're not fighting, why you're not panicking. Let them wonder. They cannot hear what you've heard in the secret place. They don't know the God you met in stillness. They didn't see the vision you were shown. They didn't feel the promise seal itself into your heart like fire. That moment marked you, and from that moment you were never in danger again. You were simply in transition. So hold the vision, stay in the secret place, refuse to drop in fear just because the evidence isn't here yet. The evidence must come. It has no choice. It is a slave to the assumption you carry. And you, chosen one, were never meant to carry fear. You were meant to carry glory. So let go of the timeline. Let go of the outcome. Let go of needing to know how. Your only task is this: enter in, shut the door. Fear, chosen one, is not what it appears to be. It dresses itself in logic, cloaks itself in evidence, and parades as wisdom, but at its core, fear is a lie, a clever and persistent illusion designed to keep you out of alignment with God's plan for your life. Fear doesn't come to destroy you with thunder. It comes quietly, almost rationally, to separate you from the one thing that could save you, the voice within. You see, the divine plan isn't hidden from you. It's hidden in you, and fear is the veil that tries to keep it from being revealed. Every time you feel overwhelmed, uncertain, anxious, or paralyzed, it is not because your situation is stronger than you. It's because fear has temporarily succeeded in making you forget who you are. It's made you forget what God already told you in stillness. Fear is never about what's happening out there. It's about what you're believing in here. And if the enemy can get you to believe in fear, then it doesn't need to stop your progress. It just needs to stop your agreement with the plan of heaven. God speaks in stillness. His voice is soft, constant, and unmistakable when you're attuned to it. But fear is loud. It demands urgency. It screams for your attention. It exaggerates the threat and minimizes the promise. It will always try to make you believe that you are unprotected, unloved, out of time, or not enough. And if you listen to it, it will shape your decisions, your assumptions, and your reality. But here's the truth: fear doesn't want you to know. It has no real power. It cannot create. It cannot lead. It can only echo your past or project a false future. It cannot live in the present, because the present is where God speaks. And in the present, if you are still enough, you will always hear the opposite of fear. You will hear truth. You will hear assurance. You will hear the inner voice reminding you that you were chosen before you were born, that no danger formed against you can prosper, that the delay is not a denial but a divine setup. Fear wants to keep you trapped in reaction mode so you never return to revelation. It wants to keep your mind busy with what-ifs and worst-case scenarios so you never return to the secret place where peace lives. But chosen one, you must make a choice. Will you follow fear, or will you follow the voice? Because you cannot do both. You cannot entertain the lie of fear and still carry the clarity of purpose. The more you feed fear, the less you'll hear truth. The more you agree with fear, the more distorted your vision becomes. And what's most dangerous is not the fear itself, but the fact that you begin to make fear-based decisions and call it discernment. You start shrinking your prayers. You start playing small. You start avoiding the risks that faith requires, and all the while the voice of God waits patiently, unchanged, unshaken, still whispering, "Trust me." God doesn't argue with fear. He doesn't yell to compete with it. He simply waits for you to return to your original knowing, because deep down you know what fear is. You've faced it before, and still you're here. You've walked through things that should have broken you, and yet you're stronger. You've seen the lies fall apart, the panic pass, the storm calm, and if you can remember that now, you'll break the cycle before it repeats. The plan of God is not derailed by fear, but your access to it can be delayed if you keep choosing fear as your guide. The plan is already written. The path is already made. Provision is already placed. The only thing left is for you to follow the voice and to silence the lie. You don't have to wrestle with fear. You just have to stop feeding it. Stop rehearsing the worst outcome. Stop repeating the story of what didn't work. Stop agreeing with the narrative that says, "You're too late," or "You're not ready." That's not God speaking. That's not the truth. That's a distraction sent to get your eyes off the prize and onto the problem. Fear is a decoy. It always shows up at the brink of breakthrough, not because you're about to fail, but because you're about to rise. Its appearance is confirmation that something powerful is unfolding, something that threatens the darkness, and if the darkness can't stop the plan, it'll try to stop you from believing in it. But hear me now. Every time you choose faith over fear, the lie loses power. Every time you return to stillness and say, God, I trust you, the inner voice grows louder. Every time you close your eyes and visualize the end instead of obsessing over the process, the fear begins to dissolve. And every time you speak life in the face of lack, truth in the face of tension, boldness in the face of uncertainty, you are walking in the plan of God. You are not in danger, you are in development, and fear is trying to convince you otherwise. Don't fall for it. Remember what he told you in the quiet. Go back to the last thing you were sure of. Anchor yourself in that truth and walk forward. Because fear has a short memory, but faith remembers the promise, and if you walk by memory of God's voice instead of memory of your wounds, you will always find the path. Don't wait for fear to disappear. Move in spite of it. It is only loud because it is desperate. It knows it cannot stay where truth is chosen. It knows its time is short the moment you decide to listen inward instead of looking outward. Fear thrives in confusion, but dies in clarity. And clarity comes from stillness, surrender, and sacred attention to the inner whisper. Chosen one, the voice within you is not just your hope. It is your guide. It is the map. It is the strategy. It is the confirmation that you are never alone and never at risk. The danger is not real. The fear is not final. The plan is still intact. You are still on schedule. You are still covered. But only if you stop bowing to the lie, rise up. Tune in, return to the voice, because everything you need to know, everything you're waiting to see, everything you think you've lost, has already been given. You just need to silence the noise, lean into the spirit, and walk like you've already won, because in truth you have assumed the end, and walk like it is already done, because in spirit it is. Chosen one, it's time to release the idea that you are merely a bystander in God's great plan, waiting for some event to unfold, some door to open, some signal to begin. You've been conditioned to believe that the divine strategy is something outside of you, a schedule in the sky or a list of assignments handed to you in the future, but that's the lie that's kept you paralyzed. That's the illusion that's made you think you're always behind, always waiting, always preparing, but never quite beginning. The truth is much more powerful and far more dangerous to the darkness. You are not waiting for the plan. You are the plan. You, chosen one, are the embodiment of divine intelligence in motion. You are not here to witness the shift. You are the shift. You are not here to be saved by the miracle. You carry the frequency that activates miracles. You've been praying for clarity, but clarity is released the moment you accept your identity. You were never meant to be a passive observer of destiny. You are its living, breathing catalyst. Every trial you faced, every season you thought was a delay, every moment of obscurity you endured, none of it was punishment. It was preparation, yes, but not for something coming to you. It was preparing the vessel that something must come through. You've been forged for impact, and that forging hasn't been easy, but that's because your assignment is sacred. You don't attract breakthrough by waiting. You become the one who carries breakthrough wherever you go. That's why your life has felt so restricted. That's why the warfare has been intense, because the plan isn't in the future, it's in you. And if the enemy can keep you from realizing that, he never has to fight the future because he's already dismantled your present. But the moment you awaken to who you are really are, everything shifts. You stop waiting for permission. You stop praying for signs. You stop negotiating with fear. You begin to walk like the answer you've been searching for. You begin to speak like the solution. You begin to carry the boldness of one who understands that they are not being led to a promise. They are the carrier of it. God's plan is not external intervention. It's internal revelation. He placed the solution in you, the words, the wisdom, the strategy, the anointing. Alignment. You are not a seeker. You are the seed. You are the bridge between heaven and earth. You're not waiting for the season to change. You are the one whose presence shifts the season itself. And until you see yourself that way, you'll misinterpret everything. You'll think God is late when Really, he's been waiting for you to say yes, not just with your mouth, but with your movement. You'll keep looking for signs in the sky when the sign is in your spirit. You'll keep asking for instructions when God has already embedded direction into your very being. The real breakthrough begins when you stop looking for the plan and realize that the plan is awakened when you take your place. That's why you can't afford to think small. That's why you can't water yourself down to make others comfortable. That's why you can't ignore the pull on your soul anymore. Because the longer you deny your calling, the more the world suffers. Your hesitation delays someone else's healing. Your silence withholds someone else's answer. Your playing small interrupts the divine ripple you were born to create. You are not waiting for the plan. You are carrying it. And when you begin to move in agreement with that truth, everything starts to respond. People start to find you. Resources start to locate you. Opportunities start to align. Not because you're lucky, but because you're finally living in sync with what God already established. When you show up in your full truth, the heavens don't have to negotiate. They simply release. That's what's been waiting, not the plan, for you. You've been asking God to move, but God's been asking you to believe, not just in him, but in the version of you he created, the one who doesn't shrink back, the one who doesn't question every instruction, the one who doesn't second guess the call. That version of you is not coming in the future. It exists now. It's simply been buried under fear, people, pleasing, trauma, and delay. But now is the time to rise. Now is the time to activate what's already in your spirit. You were never meant to survive this world. You were meant to transform it, but you can't transform what you still bow to. You can't shift what you still fear. You can't lead what you still try to fit in with. So break out. Own your difference. Your voice is not like theirs. Your path is not like theirs. That's because your impact is not supposed to be like theirs. Stop disqualifying yourself based on comparisons. Stop measuring your purpose against someone else's timeline. You are the plan, you are the moment, you are the move, and if you don't move, some divine things remain locked in potential. Not because God said no, but because you said maybe when heaven was waiting for a yes. But it's not too late. The power is still there, the oil is still flowing, the alignment is still waiting, but you must step into it. You must believe again. You must open your mouth again. You must carry the confidence that says, I am not waiting for my season. I am the season. You carry answers. You carry healing. You carry disruption. You carry realignment. And the enemy's greatest fear is not your mistakes or your struggles. It's that you might finally realize this truth, that you might stop waiting and start becoming, because once you move in that level of awareness, nothing can touch you the same way again. The opinions won't matter. The delays won't shake you. The resistance won't deter you, because you'll know that even when it's hard, even when you're misunderstood, even when you're alone, God's plan is still moving because you're moving. You are the delivery system of what heaven has decided. You are the carrier of divine intent. You are not just in the story. You are the chapter. You are not just waiting on a move. You are the shift. So speak like it, walk like it, think like it, pray like it, live like it. Stop looking for the plan to unfold before you begin. Begin, and the plan will unfold. Stop waiting for the world to recognize you. Recognize yourself, and the world will have no choice but to catch up. Chosen one, God's plan is not something that lands in your lap. It flows through your life. You are the plan, and once you accept that fully, the delay breaks, the door opens, the flow begins, and what was once a hope becomes your living, breathing reality. Not tomorrow, now, because the moment you rise, the plan arrives.